So I decided to take some pork and some chopped up mortadella, which is really Italian bologna, and make these little meatball sliders. Just to keep the meatball nice and moist, thought it'd be nice to make a pistachio pesto to go on top. I'm starting with a 1/4 cup of breadcrumbs and 1 egg. And then we're gonna add a 1/4 cup of milk and a little bit of salt and a little bit of dried oregano. So basically we're making the breadcrumb mixture that will hold the meatball together. Very, very simple. There we go. And then I wanna grate a little bit of Parmesan cheese. I think what's fun for game day is to have a mixture of both like a meatball slider, something small, and a little bit lighter, and then burgers. Yeah. So we're adding some Parmesan cheese, get that sort of nuttiness into the meatball. And then to lighten it up, a little bit of lemon zest to perfume the meatballs. It works really nice with the pork. And this is all pork. We're gonna do a mixture of ground pork and mortadella, Italian bologna, basically. Really, really yummy. Okay, lemon's done. And we're gonna mix that all up. Break up the egg, and what I like to do is make the breadcrumb mixture separate from the ground meat. That way, you can mix all this together and not overwork your meat, because I think that's the biggest problem with meatballs. The reason that a lot of times they're dry and too dense is because you mix the breadcrumb mixture in with the ground beef. So by the time you've mixed it and formed them, you've really overworked the meat. So just break up that egg, mix it with the breadcrumbs and the milk. We're gonna grab the 1 pound of ground pork and just gonna add the breadcrumb mixture right into it. Perfect. And we're just gonna mix this all together. And now we're gonna set that aside. I'm gonna take my mortadella, which I just love. One of my favorite things when I land in Rome is to go get some pizza bianca and some mortadella. And it's flavored usually with black pepper and pistachios. And it makes great sandwiches. It's great with white pizza inside. It's also really yummy in these meatballs. It just adds that little extra texture and flavor. Toss it all in there, and then we'll start making meatballs. And you can find mortadella these days in the deli section of your grocery store, because I remember when I was a kid, you couldn't find it. Okay, so mix this all together so that the mortadella gets into the breadcrumb mixture. Before we start forming our meatballs, I'm gonna just add a little bit of olive oil to my tray. There we go. So that the meatballs don't stick and they get a nice golden tan. I'll move that here, and let's start with the meatballs. So we take a nice spoonful. We're gonna make bigger meatballs so that they fit into the bun. There we go. See, it's gonna get nice texture from the mortadella and flavor, and then nice lightness too. Time to make my pistachio pesto. It's 1 cup of shelled, unsalted pistachios. And to that, we're gonna add a bunch of parsley. And then we're gonna add a bunch of basil. And what we're gonna do is we're just gonna blend this together before adding anything else so we can start to break up the pistachios and the herbs together. Okay, you can imagine the smell, that herby smell. So we're gonna season it with some salt. And so we're gonna put the lid on. I'm gonna add 1/2 cup of olive oil and a little bit of 1/4 cup of water. The mixture together will create a nice texture and flavor in the pesto. Oh yeah. I have a cup of freshly grated Parmesan Reggiano to add to it. And the reason I like to add the Parmesan cheese right at the end is because that way you don't overheat the cheese in the food processor. Perfect. So good. Remember, taste it after you've added the Parmesan cheese, because the Parmesan cheese adds salt. What I want to do with the meatballs is I basically just want to add a little dollop of pesto on top of each meatball, and then we'll pop it back in the oven just to warm it through. All right, so we're gonna take a dollop of the pesto and put it on each meatball. And we're basically gonna put these back in the oven for about 5 minutes just to warm the pesto through the meatball. And then we'll use the rest of the pesto on our actual bun with these sliders. I'll assemble the sliders right before the party by adding a little more pesto to soft potato buns, some arugula, the meatball, and then I put the lid on and smoosh it down. It's the perfect little bite.